going on in the studio. As today we will be jumping in the conversation that borders around Nigeria, right? It's usually about Nigeria. It cannot be outside Nigeria. Most of the time it should be about us because they say charity begins at home, right? And we were looking at statements that the president made, talking about President Bola Ahmed Tinubu just a few days ago, yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, where he said that there should be some sort of performance, assessment for the ministers. And quite a number of Nigerians are saying that it should not just be the ministers. It should go cut across, go beyond the ministers. It should touch on the governors. It should even touch on himself. But well, he's the chief executive officer, so he's got to put people in certain places to do certain jobs and carry out certain developmental activities right there. And he has the right to saying that I demand to know how far you fared in quarter one of 2024. But then, even though there's still also other talks about where is the President Muhammadu Buhari, I beg your pardon. Oh my goodness. Things of the past are gone. The new things are here. All right. For some reason, I called the outgone president because, of course, there has been some talk about the 30 trillion naira ways and means. That was adjudged that the president should come and answer, even though we've never seen such a thing happen in Nigeria. Well, the president Bola Ahmed Tinubu is out of the country. He has been out of the country for quite some time, till the late of April, where he attended, a summit, I think a world summit in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and he has not returned. Well, there's been some talk that he has gone to France. Others are saying he's been to London, but Nigerians are saying that we want to know where our president is. Thankfully, though, the vice president, Shatima, has taken a detour due to technicalities on his aircraft, and he's back to Nigeria. Well, I have my guest. He's already putting smiles on his face. Is in the person of Dr. Aliyu Ilyas. Yes, and he's an economist and developmental expert. Dr. Aliyu Ilyas, welcome to Eagles Outlook right here on Eagles 102.3 FM Abuja.
Yes, good morning and thank you for having me. Glad to be here today.
Awesome. Well, we'll just go right into it. I mean, between January and May 2024, the Tinubu administration had taken steps, right, to assess the performance of its ministers and officials. Well, in January, the federal government announced plans to assess the performance of President Tinubu's ministers, with at least 140 officials drawn from 35 federal government ministries tasked with the tracking and assessing of their performances. Well, however, in this month of May, just yesterday, President Tinubu is expected to receive a report on the performance status of the federal government's ministries, departments, and agencies for the list for the first quarter of 2024. Now, this move is actually aimed at ensuring that officials are held accountable for their deliverables and key performance indicators. That's what they call the KPIs. Nigerians will be looking out for tangible improvements in their lives, economic stability, and effective governance. These are what Nigerians would be looking out for. But there are some critical concerns, though, that Nigerians are having. But I would like you to add your voice in this discourse. Is this a way forward? How is this impacting, on the lives of Nigerians?
Right, it's quite unprecedented.
Right.
We can say thank our kudos to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for establishing this, because it simply means he wants to bring private sector, view to our government. Perhaps that once people become, let's even go back, chronicle down to President Muhammadu Buhari.
Right.
8 years and people work for you for 8 years and there's no KPI. Simply means they come to government believing that they'll be there, for 8 years, and that's what actually happened. Except for, is it Minister of Agriculture, one of the minister that was changed part time?
Sometimes, yes.
Yes,
sometimes,
please.
yeah.
So that simply means you just leave them doing what they actually want. But with this appraiser, me and you definitely know that we must do better, because you must perform better in what you are doing. By so doing, it shows the president, should I continue with this
person,
or I should make a change?
Right.
And if you ask me, having assessed those ministers so far, I'm having I don't know how to really assess these new ministries. We have Blue Economy Ministry,
right.
We have Minister for Steel, and Minister for Tourism also.
Yes.
There are 3 new ministries. Now,
indeed.
these 3 ministries is my challenge now. You know, if you are praising others based on what they have done, because it appears they are low. For me, if you ask me, this new ministry, they are much more low.
Okay.
Does it mean they are trying to build structure, you know, for 1 year? Or what are we actually looking at? You know, because we expect more from Blue Minister for Blue Economy, Tourism, and still it's unprecedented. So we want something better from them.
We want something better from them is what the conversation is. But let's look at some crucial concerns. Some of the crucial concerns will be the place of high cost of living for Nigerians. Nigerians are concerned about the rising cost of living, including the food, the housing, the transportation. In fact, security. Just recently, we heard about some members of the community being sacked by terrorists. I mean, security is still going on in Nigeria, and that is no news anymore. Some are beginning to say that it has come to stay. I don't want to, share in that. But if that's the reality, then it means that something needs to be done. I mean, the banditry, the kidnappings, we heard what happened, somewhere in Dutse, right, just a few days ago too. It means it has crippled or crept into even the Federal Capital Territory. The place of corruption is yet another talk. It remains a major concern, with many Nigerians calling for accountability and transparency in governance. Well, unemployment is one of it. It's high. I mean, particularly among the young people, those who should be employable, leading to frustration and disillusionment. Healthcare is another angle. Nigerians are concerned about the state of health services, including access to quality healthcare and medical facilities. Education is not even far off. I mean, education is a sector that's facing challenges, including inadequate funding, poor infrastructure, and even low teacher morale, is also that part of it. Now, poverty and inequality is remaining very significant concern. And many Nigerians are calling for policies to address these issues. We've had some guests on the show before now who have come out to saying that, look, if we don't begin to change our policies. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, that would be, an esteemed guest in the person of Mr. Adefolarin or Lamilekon. He had said the policies is what has brought us to where we are today. Right. That if we had not, until we begin to look into our policies and rework it, that we may constantly continue to find ourselves here. He said something too about Nigeria living up to the standard and requirements of the IMF and World Bank. That is what has, determined the policies that we have today. And all of these also, buttresses the point that, look, there is a need for a change. Right. Now, for you, though, I mean, would you say that there are some, benefits to look out for with this assessment that the president is wanting to embark on? And you rightfully mentioned that, look, we've not seen this happen in quite some time, so for you, what does it concern?
Right. If you ask me, there is a policy pronouncement by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu the first day he assumed the office, yeah? And that brings about problem because if you look at what he has done, in as much as he has good intention, but the problem lies on the fact that there are some premature policy that he has embarked upon. Those policies are premature because if you say you want to remove fuel subsidy, there are some factors you need to consider in removing fuel subsidy. Yeah. So, and if you look at also the past President Muhammadu Buhari, he has actually outlined a lot of them. CNG being operational, refinery being operational, Dangote refinery coming up, and a whole lot of things. But up to now, 1 year now, none of them is working. CNG is not functional as expected. Refinery is not there as well. Yeah. The palliative is not as expected. So, and the policy has been implemented. So for me, it is premature, and that has bring us to this untoward hardship, and that's a big problem. So going forward now, it simply means they have to come back to be doing cut and join solutions. And among cut and join solution is the issue of floating of naira. Having float naira, now you now came back and said, no, this naira, we don't need to do willing buyer, willing seller again. And that's why you see that the people by Bureau de Change have been reduced from 5,000 to 1,000 something, and
number.
Now you now say no, Bureau de Change, come and collect this dollar from us, and you must sell at this particular amount. These are the way to go. Not that you open the window. No country in the global community, at least we have gone out for some country. Perhaps if you want to change your currency in those countries, they will require for your international passport.
Right.
They will want to know why you are doing that. They want to know, because you don't just come and just be spending those foreign currency in their country. So I think it's a function of premature policy that brought us to where we are now.
Well, exactly. The conversation is still ongoing, and we still have our guest. He is a doctor, even though he likes to pipe down low in that regard. But Dr. Aliyu Ilyas, an economist and development expert. You also want to add your voice in the discourse. You can join the conversation, especially if you're watching outside the shores of Nigeria. Add the prefix +234 to these numbers 0907 353 0044 or 0908 766 8888, and the WhatsApp portal number where you can send your WhatsApp voice notes as well as your WhatsApp message to would be 0909 705 4450. Let's take this call right about now. Hello, good morning. Hello. Okay.
Take Dan. How
Yes,
you doing now?
I'm fine, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay.
Good morning, the girls on the studio. God bless you. Now, our topic this morning. Adrian,
Yeah.
please, I want to ask our president. I want to ask Yesu Wike. Please, now, what we are passing through now, this Nigeria now, I will say whether it don't overdue than what we passed before during the time of Buhari. What I want to talk now, this regime come now, they promise us car, they say they will give us bus. Now, up till now, we never see her. They say they will give us money. Up till now, we never see her. Wetin be common man hope for our country, Nigeria. Issue of watchers now for beggar here, no be small thing. Now to collect people phone now, enter people account, wipe all their money away. What do we do? Where we will channel our report to now? Is it president or Yesu Wike? Then I tell us, because now, where they say it go stop us now, before the price never still reduce, the price is still they go up. What do we do? Price of market now, piece of market now, we cannot more buy anymore. Yam now, one where we dey able to buy 1,000 before, now is 3,000 naira for market. Garri where we dey buy, no more go area now. Chocolates of about rice, no more go area. What do we do? What poor people will do? Who will hear our voice? I know say they are listening. Is it me say when these people they are listening, they cannot even do what we say at all for this radio? Issue of waters now, it's not too much now for beggar here. Come and see beggar here. People enter watchers. What do we do? Please, I need answer.
Blessing. Thank
God
you.
bless
Yeah.
you. God bless you.
Yeah, thank you, Blessing, BB. All right, that's Blessing right there, having her thoughts in the discourse.
Right.
Well, I don't know. How do you react to this? Because Nigerians are asking that same question. Will the assessments of these, ministers and all of that lead to a tangible improvement in the economy?
Right. It's not about the assessment. It's what every president will do, having get the assessment report, because it's not enough for you to assess people. You have to take an action. Maybe you have to change this from this ministry, perhaps doesn't have competence in this area, change to another person, or you have to let some of them go. In a country Nigeria, if you're a minister for 1 year, I'm sure you are made in terms of good name, in terms of in fact well-being as well, because you have been exposed to a whole lot of things. So for me, I think it's a good one that President Tinubu want to appraise people that actually work out for him. It's also help those that will continue to do the work to know that they must do the sense of responsibility. And like I said, check it ministry by ministry. Perhaps there are in accounting, there is a way you measure something.
Right.
If you are looking at 100%, you can't say the foundation alone will be 50%. Sometimes to do foundation again takes a whole lot of time. And that's why I was talking about new ministry. To really prepare themselves. But what about the ministry that are there already? We don't see seem to see what they are doing, because if you look at minister for FCT, it appears
we're going to jump into that, but let's take this call.
Right.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, Mr. Edward.
Yes, good morning to you, sir.
Yeah, my name is
Honorable Edwards. Welcome. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually appreciate Mr. President for the initiative. Accepting this minister, cabinet, is very, very important. For instance, I believe that the assessment, the minister of power, the sack, because since he resumed his office, my comment is acting everything as if it's not from Nigeria. We have caused a lot of inconsistency. How can the minister will be apologizing for 30-something time? That is the fact. The assessment, it will affect that minister. And then the education minister, if you look at what is happening in the education sector. Okay, recently, the minister says before you go to university, you must be, if you are above 18, you cannot go to university. So that is not the position of the law. What the law says, what the Constitution says is,
all right, Honorable Edward, I think it must be below 18, right? Below?
Hello?
Yeah. Well, anyways, just round off your thoughts, yeah? If you're below 18, can you hear me?
I can't hear you.
All right, just all right, call back. Well, that's still the same, conversation.
Let's talk about that Minister of Education.
Yes,
I must tell you, he's a well-experienced minister.
Right.
He was a vice chancellor before. He was also the head of people law school.
Okay.
He was also head of law school. He had a lot of experience. But I will agree with him. If a child is below 18, what is he doing in university? That's the problem, and it makes them to be susceptible, because once you are below 18, it's lead to a lot of things. You can be push here and there, and those are the factors that we're looking at, because you could see that most people at 16 will going into
some parents have an argument to say like that. Look, the era that we are in is an era where, of course, people want to say it's a Gen Z or the Gen X and all of that, the smart people. Should we, because of age, now deprive these children from getting into school, or these students?
I can tell you as an educationist,
right,
I think it's just appropriate for them to go to school at that 18 in terms of institution. There are other things they can learn. If you finish your secondary school at 16, you can also learn other things before you actually.
But is this what is achievable outside the climes of Nigeria?
If you look outside, even outside Nigeria, I think that's part of the condition, especially a country like UK. You have to look at that properly. You don't just say a boy of 16, 15 years should go to university. Okay. I can tell you he's susceptible to a lot of things. Even in the class, you see the way he will cope and a whole lot of things. It's not about having first class or coming out. You're going to be certificated with learning and character.
Yeah.
So these are the things that we need to look very well into.
Let's take this call. Hello, good morning. Hello. All right, keep the calls coming through. 0907 353 0044 is the number to call. The other number is 0908 766 8888. How will you assess the ministers? How would you advise the president to assess the ministers? And do you think that these assessments should be limited to just the ministers? Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Dan.
Yes, good morning to you. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Mr. Francis.
Sorry?
Mr. Francis.
Mr. Francis, okay. Where are you calling from, please?
Calling from Masaka.
From Masaka. All right, let's have your thoughts. 1 minute, please.
Good morning to the guests in the studio.
Good morning to you.
I think he has spoken well in some area. Some area they are trying to be somehow defensive of the government, but I know it's not defensive. So the fact is that this government has been continuing from where the former administration stopped. Because that was Mr. President told us on the inauguration day. He's going to continue with where the former one stopped. And that is what we are getting, suffering. So it is not, saying I will do, I will do. We need action. Action speaks more louder than the voice. So government should stop promising us and promising us. Let them start doing something. You cannot just begin and continue and promising us. Over 8 years of APC, we get promises and promises. Nothing to show about. This one come again. It's the same thing.
Okay.
You know, but moving around, turning around.
Let me ask you. Is it not a wise step in the right direction for Mr. President to saying, I want to assess my ministers to know how they are faring? Don't you think that's a laudable thing?
I know it's a laudable thing, but what I'm trying to say is that let them first of all be doing it. Because the promises become too much at the end, no achievement. Let them get the achievement before they will begin to talk.
Okay, thank you.
Telling us something before they will at the end, and nothing will happen.
Thank you so much, though. Appreciate it. Well, let them get the achievements first before they start asking or telling us how they are going to assess the ministers.
Right. The cumulative and the aggregate of what these ministers does is going to be a function of what the president
Did.
So these are the things that we need to look at very, very well. And it's good is assessing them but in assessing them, it's not a public knowledge. I must tell you, because there's some internal things that they must look at that is not exogenous, because if you are looking at a minister may not have the opportunity to come out and say this is what I've achieved, right. But I think Adiza Bala Usman, who is the SA administration, who started with responsibility of looking at that KPI and their performance, she will have her own metrics of measuring all these people. Because if you look at some ministers, it seems they are not appearing, doing anything in our presence. But if you look at what they are doing internally, they actually work. And perhaps we are mentioning Power, Minister of Power, because it's cut across virtually everyone. Okay. I wasn't at the training by NERC. Hold them by the jugular. It appears you are serving those people you are supposed to monitor, and in a place of serving the consumers, because most of our regulatory body, we see them that you are regulating. Your regulator, as a regulator, you have to be a middle person and make sure that the consumer is not being cheated. While you also make sure business also sustain their businesses. Yeah. So they need to work more on that. So for Minister of Power, I wouldn't know his experience in power before now, because we've seen Bat Energy, up to now we are still seeing a good work of Bat Energy. We are seeing reflection of his performance and what have. So sometimes you need what? So round peg in a round hole. Very important.
Right then, but I would want to ask you. Well, I have my some based on some research that I've done.
Right.
Yeah, some ministers, that are the Nigerians are supposed kind of saying, okay, these ministers are towering it. They are taking the vision of renewed hope that the president came on as a mantra for his administration. But I would want to ask you, what do you think who do you think, or which ministers do you think are indeed the ones the president would have given a thumbs up to, or Nigerians are throwing their weight behind as it stands?
Right. It's quite somehow. But if you look at these three ministers, or two rather, you look at the Minister of Education,
right.
You look at Minister of FCT, and look at David Umahi. When you put the right people in the right position, it becomes so easy. Minister of Education was a VC before. He was a law school head before. Wike was a governor who has actually overseen a lot of infrastructure,
especially development, so easy
for him. You also see David Umahi. He's an engineer. He has done a whole lot for himself in terms of performance. So for me, I think David Umahi would have towering more. But there's this contract issue, the issue of Chagri, the issue of high tech.
Yes.
It's a big issue that we need to look at.
That's exactly it.
They are saying that they have objection, what do you call it, from Bureau of Public Procurement now, because they are the one that is going to save this issue in the long run. There are some projects that there could be only single source.
Okay.
Right? There are some projects that could be only single. A good example, if you want to build a bridge of the magnitude of, for instance, the 3rd Mainland Bridge.
Exactly.
A company come into our mind that without even doing a bidding process, you say, this company would deliver, because they have done something like that. So they are saying now that this is, but the issue is that presidents should also come clean, because once you have your family, in those, those things, it becomes a problem.
Affiliated.
So for me, David Umahi is doing well, because I could see that if you look at what he did on 3rd Mainland Bridge, within some period in the picture, and he's giving us the right thing. If you have a road constructed and it cannot last you for 30 years, what is the essence of it?
Exactly.
That every 5 years, you keep doing maintenance. So there is need for us to have round peg and round hole. It's very key.
All right, though, we'll just put a peg to our thoughts right now because as a station, we need to pay some bills. Right. We will be right back in a short bit. Don't move away. We'll be right back.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
My people, the thing where they happen for my area,
Do you think I will now find out that you have contract to bring fresh girls?
I brought you from the gutters. Who gave you all the connects? MDG who? Without me, you would have been nobody. But
Join Media Coalition and Awareness to Halt Human Trafficking, MICAT, on I Wish I Knew radio drama every Saturday at 10 a.m. Let us join hands and kick human trafficking out of our communities. I Wish I Knew radio drama, brought to you by MICAT in partnership with the National Agency for Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, and funded by the Embassy of Denmark in Nigeria.
Sorry for the inconvenience. I suppose it was inevitable. Eagles 102.3.
Thanking you for keeping in touch and staying on this dial. Eagles 102.3 FM Abuja. Keep in mind that we give you an audio-visual radio experience that you can count on anytime, any day. And I see messages already coming across to us via the WhatsApp portal. And that is indeed something good. Thank you for joining the conversation right there. But yes, you can still bring your calls in and let us know, what your thoughts and concerns would be with regards this conversation where the president, though not in the country at the moment, because we've not seen any official report that carries that information, is while he's away, is still making his presence felt, saying that, look, I need to assess my ministers. I mean, it's the first quarter already, so I get to know what they have done. They need to give account, of what they have done. And this also gets back to the place of accountability and the place of transparency that you and I have always called out to the president, saying, no, look, we need accountability, we need transparency, because many believe that if accountability and transparency has been indeed induced or reflected in governance, that we would not find some of the other, antisocial activity that persons in office would carry out, which of course border around corruption, having a breathing space, right? But then we want to know your thoughts. You can as well get onto the YouTube channel, give us a subscription, get onto the Facebook page wall, let us know your thoughts. And then, do you also think that we should extend this assessment to not just the ministers, that the governors should also be assessed? As I still have my guest who is in the studio. He is in the person of Dr. Aliyu Ilyas. He's an economist and development expert. Dr. Aliyu, should this be extended to every other, aspect of the country, though? Or should it just be the ministers?
Right. I think it is even done already, because as citizens we have our perspective about each governors in our state. Right. But the fact is that it is not just as organized as the president is trying to organize. And you recall, we must also salute the current president for having that guts to do that. You will recall that even during President Obasanjo, it couldn't bring a lot of experts to even assess them until the second opportunity, Exactly. And for him to doing it at the first 1 year, I think it's a good one. And for governors, I think CSO can go ahead and do that. Like budget is doing something like that will assess the the performance of the budget and how much it is. I think CSO can do that, because as a governor, they're like the lord of their state. Yeah. So if they cannot be assessed, they would rather assess their own commissioner. It becomes a problem. So to assess that, it will be citizen responsibility, and that's why we said we want free and fair election, because that would have been a better way to say, okay, go ahead for second time, or no, we don't want you again. You don't perform.
You didn't perform well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's also bringing back to the issue of rivers. How will you assess the governors that is having the issue? It's become a problem.
Well, indeed. But if you were to call performing governors, though, which governors would come to your mind at this point in time?
Right. Some governors are actually 1 year in office. Some are not up to a year in office. In terms of controversy, we have governor that will have challenged you in terms of controversy. But for me, mentioning governors that have performed well, it's still an issue. You know why? Most governors have more fund compared to the other. Most governors are in second term. You have to look at it critically before you can say, okay, this governor is actually doing. Maybe perhaps we look at regional, because if I say regional, I think I will go for the governor of Enugu. Yes, I think he has come out to do some things that is quite significant. He's much more concerned about his people. You also look at Alex Oti. These are what you need. Abia State. No, you look at Enugu. You look at Abia State. They are actually doing well in their part.
Would you take out Lagos State, Sanwo-Olu?
There's a day I have an argument with someone, and I was telling that person that, okay, bring a governor from Kogi, bring Sanwo-Olu to Lagos, and take Kogi governor to Lagos. Right. The fact remains that if you look at a state like Lagos, you don't have excuse not to perform, because there's a lot of fun. It's like a country on its own. A lot of fun, a lot of opportunity, and that's why sometimes it's surprising that they still owe more, in terms of debt. So the thing is, a governor in Port Harcourt, a governor in Kano, a governor in Lagos, I expect to perform well. Even the governor in Kaduna, because if you look at their revenue generation, their internal revenue generation is even enough to sustain them. So sometimes it's pretty difficult to compare them. We can only compare them on terms of projects or maybe initiative they are bringing.
Well, I know that the Minister of Federal Capital Territory is not a governor per se. There's not been given that name. But how would you assess it? I mean, Wike had left, River State. Of course, Siminalayi Fubara took over in River State and all of that, even though there's been some contention between both of these personalities. But ever since the former governor of River State stepped into the Federal Capital Territory as the minister, how would you assess that? I mean, there's few
right
times.
Being someone who stays in FCT, I can say yes, we can see a sign, because see the road virtually in the FCT is being worked on. There's a facelift. Perhaps he has done something very significant. And what is it? He has made sure that the civil servant in FCT now have their own, he has restructured them. They are now civil on their own, they can have their own permanent secretary, they can have their own benefit. And you must know that to perform very well is a function of a staff that are doing well. So you are strengthening those staff, giving them opportunity, on how they can grow in their career, and how they can do better. They have independence compared to before. I think that alone is something. And also, there's a lot of things that have been hanging that the former minister is supposed to achieve. Sometimes the person who actually go before you always give you glory sometimes if you are a good performance. Okay. After Erifai, I don't think we have this vibrancy in FCT like Wike is giving us now.
So let me also jump into some thoughts that some persons who get into a new office would want to say. I mean, we've heard from administration, from history, right, where persons will get into an office and say, the debt I acquired from the past administration, or I'm not talking about the Tinubu administration now. This is something that has been recurrent, right? Now, the debt I inherited is insecurity. I inherited high debt. In fact, when I came in, there was no monies, in the coffers, and I'm grappling with a lot of things. So please bear with me. I know I said a lot of things during my campaign and all of that, but yes, now this is the reality, and so please excuse me when I'm not meeting up with the expectation. Can you say that is enough reason for someone not to perform?
Well, I think it is not enough. I will give you two governors. Let's look at Governor Rada of Katsina State, and let's look at Governor of Kaduna State. They both have their own share of problems. But one will always come and say, no, this is how we should, like Rada, for example, who said, no, this insecurity, this is how we, it keep on bringing solution without waiting or saying, giving an excuse. I think when you assume any office, either political or any office, you are taking the responsibility of the good and the ugly. Right. So you have to continue from that point and move on. Perhaps you must have, when you are campaigning, you must have an idea of the challenges you are going to face. So when you become governor in Nigeria, please don't give us excuse. Hit the ground, run in and perform for Nigerians. That's what we expect from you.
In other words, you already know what you're getting yourself into, so you prepared yourself for it. It means that you have some solution to the multifaceted problems that beface Nigeria. Well, you can still send in your calls right there, sending your messages as well. Let us have your take, let us have your thoughts in the conversation. We've got the score. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, my great brother Udwa.
Yes,
this
good morning.
Is Alami from Central Area.
That's right. Welcome.
I listened to our guest. I think it's been disingenuous when he talks about. By the way, I think it is an insult to compare the governor of Enugu State to Alex Oti. What is happening in Abia State is nothing but media propaganda. In fact, 99% of the project that is being ascribed to Alex Oti are federal government projects. The only governor we can actually speak of, but the reason why they are not amplifying it, I'm talking of the southeast, is Mba of Enugu State. We know the reason why they are not talking about it. And when you talk of revenue allocation, Lagos State and all of that, I think he should be honest enough to identify that Lagos was not the Lagos of before, was not the Lagos of now. There are policies that were put in place. Lagos revenue was less than 5 billion. Somebody came in and brought about policy implementation that catapulted that revenue to over 50 billion. The same thing in Kaduna. I was expecting him to give us, the same, pedestrian actions that were taken. When he tried to excuse Abia State, and that is disingenuous. I mean, that is very, very disingenuous when you want to water down, the effort of other states. I want to promote one because of a political affiliation.
All right.
It is disingenuous. Every state, that is the hallmark of leadership. What policy are you implementing to grow your state IGR? That should be the conversation. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Alamin, for your thoughts. Alamin right there has, made some mentioning.
But you should also recall that I was the one that mentioned Enugu.
Exactly.
Myself, and I also said Lagos. No, I wouldn't say they are not bringing policy. It is expected for them. But what I'm saying that they are not in the same pedestal.
Right.
You cannot compare Bauchi State and Lagos in terms of IGR. So the performance also cannot be compared together. So for me, Enugu State Governor is doing well, Alex Oti is doing well.
Alrighty, that's cleared the air, but you can also get on to the conversation. We've got a call now. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning to you. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, this is James. I'm calling from Sulis.
All right, James, welcome aboard. Go straight to the point. Let's hit the nail on its head. All right?
Yes, I actually sent a message on WhatsApp, but I resorted to having to call when the last caller basically attacked the guest simply because he mentioned Alex Oti and the projects that are ongoing in Abia State. I don't know. There seems to be this resentment when statements that do not support certain opinions are made, and you have somebody calling in to attack guests, to attack callers, to attack people who are commenting. It is becoming absolutely nauseating. He made claims that most of the projects ongoing in Abia State are federal. Over 90%, if I'm correct, are federal government projects. Please, I will challenge him to call back this radio station and mention just 5 of those federal government projects that did not start under Alex Oti. Because it is becoming embarrassing where people give opinions and then simply because it does not resonate with supporting the current government, it begins to seem like it is anti-party. Everybody gives an opinion and it begins to sound as if whoever is giving the opinion is simply commenting based on his affiliation with another party. I don't know how long we are going to continue to allow this on air. It is becoming embarrassing.
James, for your thoughts, okay? Understood. All right, well, James, right there, you've made it very clear, your thoughts. But look, understandably, understandably so, in a family, quite a number of people have different, ways of reacting to things. Okay, let's not want to blow it out of. Yes, that's the thing. All right, but then it is also very necessary, for us to imbibe caution. Right? I always say it. Don't subscribe to your emotions when you're making your thoughts or sharing your thoughts. Just be as logical as you can be. Be, very straightforward. Let's assess it. Let's open it up, right? And then let's not want to pursue the narrative of certain persons that maybe we align to in terms of ideology. Let's look at what is the ideal, what is the real, right? What is the real? What is on the plate? What's the reality? And then address the situation, right? Based on what we see, right? And the facts that are there to support, what we see. And I think that's what, it is. And please, attacking Gaston, please, is not necessary, right? It's not necessary. It does not show maturity. It does not show growth. It does not show competence, even on your own part. Please, okay? Address the issue and let's move on, okay? Okay, that's a miss. We'll keep the calls coming through, and we will get to the WhatsApp portal at this point in time. Okay, quite a number. Like I always like to do, I'd like to attend to the messages first of all before we get into the voice notes. All right, let's take this one right here. All right, James, you already made this clear, so I would not be taking this for want of time. Yes, let us now see which other message is unread. Okay, now let's get on to the voice note. We'll take your calls after the voice notes, okay? Let's look at this one right now.
Good morning, this is Mr. Abdul calling from Suleja. You know what it is. What is going on? What is going on? UD, what is going on? What is going on? We don't know what is going on. Where are we going from here? Where are we going from here? Where are we going? Where are we going? Huh? Insecurity, economy, corruption, everything, whatever. Everything in this country is getting economic. So where are we going from here? What is going on? The president has not been around for almost about 2 weeks now. For crying out loud. Look at the vice president. Unluckily, his aircraft gets stopped. It gets a problem. That was why he didn't jet out of the country. If not, he could have jet out. Leaving the poor people in the country. Leaving the poor people impoverished. Leaving the poor people in hunger and hungry. They should be careful. This government is like they don't know what they're doing. They don't know where they're going. They don't know their left and right. Please, they should take notes. Please, they should take caution. They should take caution. They should be careful. People are hungry. People are tired. Please, they should know what to do. They should know what to do. We are pleading. Thank you, UD, you're doing a very good job. Thank you.
Sorry, good morning. Again, my name is Honorable. Sorry, I actually have some network issues. What I'm trying to say is that the assessment by Mr. President is the best thing. It's a welcome development. It's an agenda that will help us, to make the ministers to sit up. As I was saying about this education, by our constitution, it's clear that it must be 18 years before going to university. See, with this assessment, it will improve our educational system. Like go to our state. I finished school, a government secondary school. Mr. Odua, this is something, go back to that school is no longer there. What point is going to that school? What's really happening? Why are they not going to school? Why are they not going to school? So some of them are busy doing Yahoo, all these children, they do Yahoo, some of them are engaged themselves in one thing or the other. Look at the jam. The jams are dropped. So what's the way forward? This assessment will help us. The man, I don't know. What the man said that there is a difference from what I had. Because the man said, I bet 18 years you cannot go to university. That's what I want to know. That's what he said. He is wrong. He's completely wrong. So this assessment will help us. So many things are going on. Honestly, so many things are going on. For instance, look at the kid as well. What is the Minister of State doing? Petroleum. The minister, who is the president again? I don't even know who is that minister. Petroleum. So many things are going on. Of course, some of them are working. But most of them are not working. So we need to look into this. My state in Benin State, I'm telling you, you go to some places. And some places, because of this insecurity, I'm not going to, there's nobody there. But in my own place, they are not going to that school. They don't take admission from there. Most of them grant from one point to another. All the money they're collecting for this is not working. It's not working. Thank you.
All right, Honorable Edwards, you have made your say loudly and clearly. Okay, let's just take this call and then I get our guest to add his voice to the discourse. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Yes, good morning, please. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Onidoma from Masaka.
All right, very quickly, let's go straight to the point.
Good morning, Daddy. I congratulate you, sir. You have been speaking very well. So what I want to say is that I want to beg this our government, even though all of us did not vote them in, but they are taking the government by whatever, to let try and gain the masses favor, gain the masses interest. Because if you are doing well, the masses will support you full measure. But the more you are doing this to the people, you are getting more hatred. People continue to criticize you. So there is no time. A year-old baby is no longer a kid. A year is gone and we are not seeing anything. A CNG boss, we are not seeing it. This and that, we are not seeing it. So let us swing into action. Mr. President, come back home and face the reality. People are dying. In my own local government in Uzuwane, people were died at least last week, just like that, killing, herdsmen killing and all over. And nothing is being done. Where are we heading to? If it is not possible, let us disintegrate. Everybody go his own way.
Please. All right. Thank you so much for that. Well, he has made his point all the way from Masaka. Honorable Edwards, you asked the question, who is the current Minister of Petroleum? Well, the current Minister of Petroleum Resources is President Bola Tinubu. Heineken Lokpobori and Ekperikwe Ekpo were appointed Minister of State for Petroleum Resources Oil and Minister of State for Petroleum Resources Gas, respectively, in August 2023. Well, Ambassador Nicholas Agbo Ella Esquire is the current Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Petroleum Resources, and that is what is obtainable at the moment. And then we should also let you in on the fact that you can as well bring your comments in via the Facebook page wall, as well as across the social media platforms where we have a strong presence, where we are giving you an audio-visual radio experience that you can count on anytime, any day. I see this one coming from Ozo Francis Namani. He says is watching live from Amagunze in Enugu State. Good morning, my people in the studio. Keep up the good work, he says. Thank you so much for that one, and watching all the way from Amagunze in Enugu State. And wherever it is that you might be listening to the sound of our voices, well, thank you for also keeping in consolidation and showing some solidarity, because Nigeria is ours and it behoves on us to keep talking until that change comes into existence. Well, let me hear from you. I mean, you've heard Nigerians speak.
Yes, my major concern is that most things we are looking at the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I must tell you that at this point in time, we should also be talking about our state governors. Because if you look at the benefits of this government has actually gone to the state governors. And how do I mean? The first subsidy removal, a lot of things that this governor has actually increased the allocation given to the governors.
Right.
So there is need for us to also ask them that this allocation that has moved from 600 billion to about 1.1 trillion every month that you're sharing, how is your governor in your own state? How are they using it? I can give you an example of Niger State that is very close to Abuja. The governor embarked on purchasing of tractors,
even
and
land.
tractors is expected to use to cultivate, the lands, and make sure that farmers are, because farmers still employ more in Nigeria, take it or leave it. So for me, I think we should do more of asking our governors what they are doing with those money, because if they are doing it, using it to do elephant project that does not have any meaningful benefits to Nigerians, it becomes a problem. So for me, I think there is more money for them. What are they doing? You could see some governors as even saying, we are paying 70,000 naira even before the president will announce the new minimum wage. That is a way to go. What are other governors using those money to do? These are the things that we should look at, not every time center.
But in a breeze, how would you assess the National Assembly? Because quite a number of persons have said, even Akpabio had come out at some point to saying that, look, there should be collaboration between the